What up, y'all? Welcome to the Independent Living Podcast. This is where we sit down with some of the dopest and most successful independent creators. And today we have my guy, Will Gittens. Appreciate you joining us, man.
What's going on, man? Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yo, so for me, you were on my radar, I think when you hit a lot of people's radar, when you had the Zodiac challenge.
Okay.
The Zodiac. What year? When was that? When was the Zodiac challenge?
That was 2020, man. Going into 2021, we dropped it December 2020. So it was a trend that started like October, the acoustic version that went viral on TikTok. And it went so viral that we were just like, yo, we have to capitalize on making this into a song. And because we were already in rhythm writing songs and stuff, we were like, let's make this a hit song. And we just put it out, and the rest was history.
Wait, so it was a trend before it was a song? Did you start the trend, or did somebody else start?
Yeah, I don't even go into depth that much anymore, but we were supposed to be moving to LA, but it was harder than anticipated to find a place, so we ran out of our lease in Atlanta. So we moved from Atlanta to go back to Nashville to stay at my mom's house for the time. It was supposed to be 2 weeks, but it ended up being 2 months, because it was so hard to find a place. And in between that time, I was in the foyer of my mom's house, and I just sat there and I was like, how can I come up with something that is very expressive for people to express themselves with different like things, like their age, where they're from originally and where they stay currently, and this and that. And I just came up with it in 5 minutes. I made the video and I put it out, and I was like, they probably gonna think this joint is corny. And it kept blowing up, man. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's corny. I shouldn't make this like into a song. And then it got to like 70,000 videos made, and we were like, yo, let's just do it. Like,
So you came up with the idea and the melody, and you just put that out. Because I don't know if I've, like, most trends, at least from my standpoint, like they happen because it's a song and they take a part of a song, but I didn't know that it just started with just a trend and then you turned it into a song.
Yeah, that's what happens to me a lot of times. It's like, I honestly, like, I feel like I know what people are going to gravitate to, because I'm really good with expressing, like, and putting emotions into words and stuff, things that every human being feels like they've experienced.
Yeah.
But, with that one, I just knew that it was something that people would just feel inclusive in, and it just happened that way. But sometimes me just putting a song out and just not giving any kind of acoustic snippet or stuff, like, for instance, we just dropped a song called 2024, and it's just basically just manifesting and staying positive about the things that 2024 has to offer. And I came up with the song like right before the year end, so I had to get all this stuff together to actually get the record out, mixed, mastered, artwork, everything. And I didn't have time to put out a snippet of me playing acoustically the song. So the same formula that I did with Zodiac, which seems to work, is like I put something out there and it doesn't look like I'm trying. And then people are like, yo, we really like this. Then people start to make hundreds and then thousands of videos. And by how that does, it makes me be like, okay, this is worth investing in and putting it out there. Content is just the wild, wild west right now. So, whatever happens, you just put it out. And if it goes crazy, then okay, I could turn this into a song. But
that's dope. So it's kind of like just kind of your research and development is with the trends. And then if they take off, then okay, let's build around it. When the Zodiac challenge started to when maybe it kind of fizzled out, like, how many followers were you at prior to that challenge, if you can remember? And then how many, like, when it finally fizzled out? Because it was going for a minute.
Bro, I honestly don't remember, and I apologize for that. I honestly, like, to be completely transparent with you, I used to set goals and set standards of like, okay, at this point, I want to have this amount of followers and this and that. But honestly speaking, it wasn't until I let go of those type of formulations and stuff like that everything started to really just go. I feel like when it's, sometimes if you plant a seed, like my dad always taught me, if you plant a seed and you just sit there and you watch it grow, it's just gonna feel like forever and it's gonna not grow. Because sometimes you just have to plant something and just keep it pushing, and then by the time you come back to it, you're like, oh, it's a tree, you know. And so, honestly speaking, being independent is like the biggest thing is doing that, is planting seeds not only within your music and your own.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit, but I think you're good now.
Yeah, I feel like being an independent artist, that's, you're just gonna have to sign up for that, where you're gonna have to plant hundreds of seeds and not reap any of the fruit of them for years sometimes. You know, and that right there is what I just got accustomed to. I just, you know, people will be like, oh, are you excited about this and that? And it's like, I'm excited about every song I put out, but then reality kicks in when you put the song out and you realize that nobody got it into any playlist. There's no editorial people that heard the song that put it anywhere. And so you have this amazing song that's garnering this success, but nobody in position is helping the song do what it deserves to be. And that right there is a depressing thing. You know, it's like, if your job is to find music that's excellent, there's hundreds of thousands of songs being uploaded every day, but it's your job to sift through the ones that are special, especially if the people that are dropping it have substantial like share or marketplace on your platform, you know. And it's just like, you would think that the more millions of people you bring to that platform, the more that they would kind of be like, let me throw you a little, you know, little situation. But it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I mean, numbers matter, but like you said, you know, to a certain extent, there are still going to be, you know, gatekeepers and people in certain situations that can either help or ignore, you know. But I think the benefit of being independent is always being able to go direct to the fans, right? Just continuing to build that audience yourself. So whether you get acknowledged or not, you know, your audience is continuing to grow, and, you know, you can build that direct relationship over time.
Most definitely.
But I love the seeds and the planting of the seeds. Like when I talk to artists, I refer to it as kind of proactive patience, right? Because you have to be patient, but it's not patient in the sense of like, oh, I'm just going to wait until something happens. You got to be proactive and continuing to move so that, you know, more opportunities or chances for things to pick up for you. So, but TikTok was big for you. And, you know, I think at the time, you know, 2020, 2019, like a lot of people were starting to make moves on TikTok, but I knew your situation. Well, one, I heard the music and I was like, okay, this is different. But two, you weren't just on TikTok, you were on Instagram as well. And your Instagram was growing. Cause sometimes I've seen quite a few artists with like 1 million followers on TikTok, and then there's no traction anywhere else. Right? Were you like just working at the same time, like building both of those audiences? Were you taking people from TikTok over to Instagram? Are they two separate audiences? How do you approach social media?
That's actually an excellent question, bro. To be transparent with you, it started from even Vine, right? You remember Vine? Mm-hmm. Like Vine, I remember I wouldn't say I accidentally I just was like, yo, I'm going to try and be consistent on these apps, because I didn't think that Vine was a good idea. I thought 6 seconds was a ridiculous time to showcase my talent. And there was a lot of ego involved with that with me. To be real, I was like, man, 6 seconds is are you kidding me? Bottling up my talent into 6 seconds every video, that is preposterous. So when it got to the point where I was just like, yo, let me stop trying to like get in my own way and try this, you know? And then boom, like before the app ended, I built 1.7 million followers on there.
Damn.
And it wasn't until I realized that it was ending that I went to start and promote and cross promote. I never used to like when people's like, oh, go here, follow me here, this and that. It's like, if they want to, they will go look for you type things, you know? And I wish I did that more. But right now, man, I'm building every time so this is how I do, just so that if anybody's watching this to want to learn, make content and blast it on all social media platforms. Anything that you could physically upload stuff on. It used to be to where, and the core is, if you think the core is YouTube, then that will be a successful structure. If you make something on landscape mode on YouTube, do a full video. Hire someone or send it to someone that could cut that video in landscape and put it into vertical, and put those vertical tapes on TikTok, Instagram Reels, freaking X, which used to be Twitter. Now there's Threads. So it's just like any type of platform, just post the same content. You only made that for YouTube, which is when you build your YouTube, that's when it's going to be one of your biggest streams of income. So you take that, you blast it on there, then you blast it on TikTok in the vertical form, Instagram Reels. And so whenever you see something of mine, for the most part, if you go look, I had dropped that official video on YouTube, and I'm just piecing it up and cutting up the content and specializing it for the specific app. Like there's certain things that you can't just post the exact same thing on these apps. Sometimes you got to use the fonts that's specific to the app so that the app is more satisfied. It's a whole like it's like a masterclass and like of just social media, man. And it's different, and the sucky thing is that it's ever evolving. So you sometimes you feel like you have a grasp on it, and sometimes you just like, bro, I'm feeding it right now, and it is eating. It is going crazy for me. Like at the end of last year, I went from like 500,000 followers to now close to 1 million, and I don't even know. I just was like pumping it out content, man, and it just kept eating it up. And I was like, oh shoot, you know. And I felt like I was gonna hit 1 mil before the year ended, but I would have felt like it would have been a little oversaturated. And for me, it's just like I like when people have like sometimes a week or two where they don't see anything from me, and then boom, I drop some fire on them, and then they're constantly like reminded of like, dang, this person did something else. This is crazy. Because I went through the times where every 3-4 days you seeing some amazing content and singing, but it's like I've been doing this stuff for a decade, so I have to remain like, you know, give people some absence a little bit so that they could grow fonder.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you ever feel fatigued? Because a lot of artists will complain that you got to be on all these different platforms. Like, how do you deal with that fatigue, or how do you overcome it to continue to progress?
That's a great question. I honestly just take breaks, man. I think that back then when, you know, these apps, you got to look at them as like they're animals, like this big beast, and you have to constantly feed it. Oh, in order for you to be successful on this beast, you have to feed it 4 or 5 times a day. And feeding it is an analogy for just the, you know what I'm saying? Like how much posts you have to put up there. So they're like, you need 4 posts a day. Dude, you know how much to do that, man? And it's just like, sometimes you will go and you play along with it, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try, and you're doing this, and it grows, and then you're like, yo, I'm not sleeping. Yo, I'm not happy right now because all I'm doing is trying to satisfy this thing that is insatiable. You know what I'm saying? And so, honestly, just everyone just figure out what works for you. Post twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and you're like, I'm gonna go back to posting twice because 3 times is a little bit too much, where I'm starting to like stress myself out. I'm starting to make content just to make content. That's my biggest point. Sorry, I got to it. Don't just make stuff just to make it, because that's what a lot of people's doing. They're like, okay, I did this one video and it went viral for me, so I'm gonna do this one thing over and over and over again. That right there is what is allowing yourself to be boxed into something. Some people may look at me and be like, oh, well, you do covers, so you're boxing yourself in. But if anyone were to sit there and have any type of real curiosity, they will go and see that the covers is just there to bring them to my platform so that they could be like, wow, the industry is not fair to this guy. They don't put his music anywhere. So he has to do a cover so that I come to his Spotify and Apple Music. And then I have to be like, oh, well, let me check out his other music. And to be like, damn, this is better than some of my favorite artists, this and that, you know? And you know, that right there is like, I'm confident now that the music that I have made in the past and that I continue to make is some of the best music in the world. But they're not going to know that because I'm not signed to a machine that's pumping them that music in their face there, you know? And so I know that just because I'm filling up just a little bit of that real estate of people are not supposed to know who you are if you're not signed to a label. Technically, back then, you couldn't be known unless you had a label pushing you out there. But social media is the medium that kind of leveled the playing field to where I don't have to sign a label, and 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people could be active followers of me, and I could have billions of impressions of people. Billions of people in the world have seen my videos, And that's a
Yeah.
powerful thing, you know, and that right there is what makes the independence worth it.
No, for sure. Let's talk about the covers because
Okay.
I always encourage artists, like, covers are a great way to get some traction if they're good, number one. And I think, two, if you kind of have your own, like, spin to it. Right. When I hear your covers, it's clear that you can sing well, but you kind of give it a different spin that I think garners more interest. And that lets people know, like, okay, he's doing it like this. There probably is some original music that is fire as well. What was your approach to covers? And just, you talked about it a little bit already, but, like, just kind of the good and the bad of covers.
Man, these are some excellent questions, bro. Kind of like how you said it, making it your own. Like, it's been a million covers of Weak by SWV, to the point where I was like, do I even want to do this? But realizing that just like how our fingerprints, mine and your fingerprints pattern are completely different. And
Yep.
I hit the little thumbs up. It's completely different, and with all the billions of people in the world, there's no two that have the same. It's like our music and everything else is like it's gonna be its own type of situation. So I could be like, hey, this is something that works for me, or hey, do a cover. But if everyone just does a cover, people need to do something that's gonna stick out. So if everyone else is sitting there just singing with a mic and using a backing track, a piano one, I'm like, hey, one of my gifts is playing guitar. I'd be like, okay. I go and I play the pattern of the song in a way that it just people are not accustomed to. I remember when Trap Queen by Fetty Wap came out in 2015, I literally just was like, I'm like, hey, what's up, hello, and your pretty face, and so I like slowed it down and I gave it these like ding 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 ding, and so it's this smooth R&B take of a rap song that no one else was gonna do, and I use that thing with that thumbprint, the fingerprint, to just say. A lot of the times people are scared to create their own identity because they're like, everyone is wanting this. They're so like, what does everybody want? They're so worried about that kind of stuff. But for me, I looked in myself and I'm like, yo, what makes you unique? You play guitar really well. Okay, what else makes you unique? Oh, your tone. So and instead of you doing the same inflections that the artist does, create different cool little riffs and runs that's gonna make somebody be like, yo, I like this person's version better than the original,
Yep.
And I feel like I've mastered that art. And to be honest with you, this is the bad side of it, is that sometimes because covers are more, those songs that you're covering are, companies pay millions of dollars so that people around the world know the song. Like if an artist puts a song out and they're like, this is the one, they're going to put 1.5 million into marketing, and so if everyone knows that song, it's smart for you to go and do something in your own way while it's popping and it's everywhere in everyone's face. For instance, Easy on Me by Adele. I didn't want to do the song at first because I liked it, but I was like, I don't know if I'll sound good on it. I saw this guy from South Africa do it. I can't remember his name. He's like Yeliso or something like that. Incredible singer, songwriter. And I saw him do a cover of it, and it made me be like, oh, I could do this song because he's a black dude. And I didn't feel like the song was really like that on urban friendly. So when I saw him do it, I was like, oh, I could do this. So I did that song. And then the acoustic cover went super viral. And then somebody used the acoustic cover and made this compa version / remix in Vanuatu, out there in New Zealand. And he has no access to Spotify. And then it blew up in Asia. And so all of this is literally just because I sat there and I did a cover to a song, in my own way. And they flipped the song. And so far from just that one cover, I've made tens of thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And I don't make as much as you probably are supposed to if it was your record, but in this harsh environment, man, unless you have this machine behind you pumping your original music out there, I literally had to get to the point where I'm like, yo, I need covers to elevate and for more and more people to be aware of me. Because there's been no labels that took a chance on me. It's just like I've built an incredible following without doing covers. And then after I did the covers, it just made it just made more and more people aware of me. And I'm interested in fast growth right now. I've already went through a long process of the slow growth. You know, I've been doing music for a long time, so the type of growth and the type of results I want right now is a fast one. You know, and I know some people might be like, that's not a way to look at it, but if you've seen the trajectory of my life and how I've gone through my career, I've already had the slow situations, the ones, oh, you're gonna have to wait, just be patient, you know. But that's why I'm like, yo, what do I need to do to build up this following? So that once I start to go and do tours and once I start to put out albums and stuff, that I have a huge fan base with or without a label or machine supporting me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I really answered you.
No, for sure. Can you talk to the kind of the economics of putting out a cover? Like what do you, like, how do you do it? And just for people that are watching this, Two Lost has cover song licensing within the platform. You can get your license. But what does that, so if I put out a song, let's just say, you know, what's it, All That I Am from Joe, right? Let's say I want to cover that song. I can't sing, by the way. I can't sing for anything, but let's say I want to cover that song. I get the cover song licensing. How does that change the economics of what I make from that song?
To be honest with you, I don't know the just to the book answer of that. I just know that if, like, let's say you get 1 million streams on one of your original songs, it's usually around close to $4,000 from Spotify, right? You know, but if you get 1 million streams on the song on Spotify and it's a cover, it might be half of that. Maybe you get $1,500 instead of $2,000 or instead of $4,000, and that's not even that. I never went and actually did the research to see what the number of is 0.00297 cents instead of 39 or what the difference is in the covers. I just see that it doesn't make as much just because it's not your composition and work, but it is your interpolation. So it becomes a new master if you either do some sort of derivative from the original production. So if you do an acoustic, you play it acoustically, that's a new work. If you play it with piano, that's a new work. A lot of times people try to put covers up with somebody else's producing it similarly and stuff like that. That's where you run into problems. So if anybody's watching this and they want to know how to successfully put a cover out, get one of your friends that is a professional guitarist. If you play guitar, it doesn't even have to be perfect. Just make an acoustic or piano version of the song and then put it out there. Of course, there's harp, there's freaking violin. You could do so many different things as an interpolation, but you can't just use the same production and expect to put it out and make money from that. That's what makes it illegal.
Right, for sure. So I'm going to have to get back to the audience in terms of like exactly how it changes the economics, because I would have thought if it is a new master, like what are the, if it's a new master, like what percentage are they entitled to if it's a completely separate master? But I'll get back to our audience on exactly what that looks like, because even I don't know the answer to that question at the moment.
Yeah, when you get that, let me know.
But you can, but I think the moral of the story is, one, you can do covers legally. Two, they are a great way to get your name out there, and you can monetize it, but it's a great way to get your name out there if you're able to do it well and kind of flip it and make it your own. So don't let that hold you back. Sometimes I'm not an artist, but I would imagine like if I did have writer's block and I was an amazing singer, I would just turn to covers until I, maybe overcome some of that writer's block, just so I can keep consistent and keep putting out, a version of my art.
That's great advice. I'm blessed to have not hit writer's block yet. But that I feel like if I were to, that's something that I would do too. That's some great advice.
For sure. So I know in your covers, you also have a lot of great collaborators, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's some, Nate, can you name some of the people you've collaborated with?
Yeah, I've done a cover with Rome Flynn, who's a very successful actor, and he's an artist as well. Of course, he spends most of his time being an actor. But me and him linked up twice. We did a cover of "Can You Stand the Rain" by New Edition, and then we did. Appreciate it, man. And like for some reason, people like that duo, and we were like, "Yo, bro, we gotta run this back." And we did "I Wanna Know" by Joe, and that honestly is probably one of the most viral things that I've ever put out. You know, me and him broke the internet. Like we have people in a chokehold with that one. Of course, there's a lot of people that's like, oh, they did good, but they did like Joe, they didn't do it like Joe. Nobody, everyone always is like feels like I didn't. First of all, Joe is in my top 5 best R&B artists of all time.
Top five.
Freaking brilliant.
Yeah,
you know. So I got enough respect for Joe. It doesn't matter what, you know, and I still don't know if he's even like he's never reached out to me. He's never been like, "Hey man, I saw the video, this and that," and it's all good, you know. That's my experience as an artist, and I hope to when I get to that type of point when I've done and influenced people so much, and when someone does something that blows up like that, you know, I'll be like, "Man, that was good. Like, thank you for doing that." You know, it's enough respect, you know, but the industry is interesting, but yeah. I feel like I think I kind of lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Nah, you good. We were just talking about collaborators, and you mentioned Rome. I don't know Rome, but we've actually hooped together at LA Fitness. He's a pretty good ball player as well.
Yo, he could hoop. Yeah. So that's funny. Yeah, it was Rome. I did a couple covers with an artist named Rocky, and unfortunately, man, she it's weird because we've done these covers and they went so viral, but she got in some trouble with the law, man, and it's just like, yeah. And so there was like a lot of media towards that, and it's a lot of media like these blogs and stuff like that, because it was a very serious thing. And everyone and their mom was just like, "Yo, this your girl, right? This is not like my girl, but they're like, this the girl you did the video with, boom, boom." And for me, it's just like I had to go and turn off the comments on stuff like that because everyone, but this social media is a whole different beast, you know. But yeah, so it was. I've never even said it to anyone, but it's just like that situation. It just is weird because I don't have any answers, and everyone is like, "Yo, what happened?" And I'm like, I don't know. I've done some stuff with a beautiful artist named Kayla Ray that I actually went to school with. We've had some successful covers. I've done covers with Kaylin Castle, very talented, beautiful young lady. So I've done a lot of great covers with people that I admire, and for me, that's kind of like me giving back. Like someone like Rome was already Rome Flynn. He doesn't really need me. That was one of those, hey, bro, you got a fan base, I got a fan base. Us doing a song together will really do well. And for me, I'm going to be very strategic with how I do it, like from now on, with who I choose to do certain covers with, because honestly speaking, I was like not going to even do any covers in general because I feel like I wanted to just focus on doing my stuff this year. But I still think that it's like in between doing your stuff, covers is like a filler. So that is something that kind of, if anybody's watching this, is like, use covers as like a filler. So if you're like, I'm dropping something on January 1st, then my next drop is in April. That's 4 months where people are just like, okay, they're waiting for you. So how you appease that anticipation is by being like, hey, I dropped some original the first. I'm not dropping something until April. You guys don't know that, but let me give you 2-3 covers to fill up the space. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I was doing. I would be like, cover, original. Cover, EP. Cover, original, boom, then the new year. You know? And so in the past, there was no covers. So if I have 100 songs up on Spotify, it'll be like probably 55 of them is original and like the other rest is just covers, you know? And so I just did that, man. You just got to do what you got to do in order to remain like in a state of progression. You know, it is a lot of times the independent stuff, it seems very freeing and stuff, but the stress that comes with it is even greater than if you were with a label, you know. But label is just a bank, man. They're just money and the resources. You know, you could get some of these things independently, you know, and building your stuff independently to where you get to a point where you do have a meeting with a label, you have some sort of leverage, you have some sort of say so what you could take or what you can't take, what you could negotiate. You can't step in an office and negotiate $1 million deal with it being like a co-situation, like a business partnership, instead of them taking full range of your stuff, you know. But if you go in there and you're like, I technically don't need y'all, but if we do this like 80-20 or 70-30 or 50-50 and y'all just give me this, I don't even need that, boom, 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 that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
And I've even stopped banking on that happening, man. Like, it might be a situation where no label ever is interested in signing me. And at this point, I don't even care anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've already proven myself, not only to myself, but I've proven myself to the world. And I'm one of the biggest artists in the world. And
Yeah.
I used to always just be like, man, I'm not where I want to be. I'm this and that. And it got to a point where I started seeing how other people see me. I started seeing how other people in the world see me, all these other stars in the world. And there's all these mega stars from different countries following me. And they're like, yo, you're amazing. Like, somebody in my country showed me your stuff and this and that. And that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the times that is the only thing that will keep you going as an independent, where you're like, America and the whole music system here, they don't celebrate independence. They don't celebrate, oh man, you're doing so good by yourself without no company. They want you to come onto their companies so that they could, a lot of the times, just exploit your stuff and take advantage of you. There's not a situation of they're trying to build people up. So that's why if you meet or find a place or a home where people actually care about your stuff, even just a fraction as much as you care about it, then that's a miracle, you know?
Well, we celebrate independence here on this podcast and at Two Lost. So, you know, hopefully you feel appreciated. I think the music is dope. I was pressing on the collaboration because I believe wholeheartedly in collaboration. I don't think independent artists collaborate enough. At the end of the day, you know, we should be sharing fan bases where it makes sense and grow together. So that's why I'm always preaching collaboration. Why do you think it is? Because we used to, like, from time to time in the R&B space, we used to get like a collaboration with like 4+ artists. You know, like, let's see, like remember the song "Missing You"? It was on the Set It Off soundtrack. It had like Brandy. I forget who else was on it, but there was like, and then even on the Best Man soundtrack, there was one with like Tyrese and RL. And what? How come? I mean, I think it's rare that we even get dope duets anymore. But why do you think we're not getting the collaborations that we used to get?
I think that we're not getting the collaborations that we used to get because people are uninspired with music right now. It's like a lot of the times, if you are a high level creative and you put music out, and let's say like you do a single, you're like, man, I go and I get this single mixed and mastered. It cost me $500. It could range between $250 to a couple $1,000, but usually it's smarter if you're a artist of my size to spend between $500 to $1,000 per song, you know, to get it mixed and mastered the way that is like in the industry standard, you know. And it's just like, after you do that and then you go and spend some artwork, you could do artwork yourself. You could get AI to do it for free. But if if somebody's been doing your art for a minute and they never miss, then you just continue to pay like a $150, $200 per artwork. And that's without putting any marketing budget towards, then you do a music video, you know, and you pay a content guy $1,000 a month to get you a video. And then you pay for a YouTube campaign that costs $2,000, you know, and you do all that as an independent to then post 4 or 5 times your original song. But because it's not a song yet that everyone knows, the algorithm doesn't want to like push the song. And so that's where it gets frustrating as an independent, because you're like, you try to create things that are super relatable that people would just gravitate to. And sometimes it just doesn't hit. And you're like, in your mind, you're like, yo, this one has to hit, And for me, every single song I do, I have the same confidence that I had with Zodiac. Zodi, only difference with that is that I already saw that it was proven, the acoustic thing. So I'm like, if they like this acoustic, they're going to like the record because the acoustic is already viral. That right there is a once-in-a-lifetime situation because I have not replicated that since then. I did it with this song called D&D, where I did a cover of D&D in the car with my brother. And it was like 1 point something million views, like a lot of comments, like tens of thousands of shares. And I was like, yes. So when I put the record out, I was going to go crazy. Boom, put the record out. Did it with like a distro kid. It didn't have any playlisting, zero playlisting, zero help, zero anything. And then you put the song out and the same thing. You try to invest in this and that, and it just has a threshold, and you're just like, dang, I know that one was special. Oh well, on to the next one. And a lot of times people are like, no man, you gotta promote the song. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I understand that perspective of people like, don't keep putting more out there. There's gems that you probably just haven't exercised all the way through. Uh-huh. But for me, that's when I'll have to need somebody that consults and listens that is like, yo, I hear this catalog. I think this is the one. You should push this, But that right there is what you call it. I'm looking for the word, but that's biased by that person's taste in music.
Right.
That person could be like, I think this is your best song. And then you ask somebody else and they're like, nah, this is your best song. So it's like, which one do you sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to put $20,000-$30,000 into marketing this one because this is the one, And unfortunately, if you're independent, it's unwise for you unless you have that type of money to go and spend and like treat each song like it's the one,
Yeah.
And when you have, when you're funding your own stuff, you have to be like, okay, the one that I think is the one is what I'm going to invest this amount of money towards. And we're just going to just hope for the best that it connects with people. And then they just start making content to it,
Yeah.
But you can't, man, I'll tell you before any independent artist does, you can't call this stuff, bro. And after Zodiac, I was like, I figured out the formula. I know how it works. But it's like, you don't know the formula because the formula is constantly evolving, bro. It's like that. It's like a maze, like that Maze Runner movie where stuff is constantly moving and like you can't. So you have to go and try and memorize it. And you get this far, and you're like, oh, you gotta go and that's right. Music, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the artists that I've interviewed on this platform, on the Independent Living podcast, like Coda the Friend, for example, he has a song. He has like maybe a couple songs at like 50 million streams, something like that. And I always take the top song and be like, yo, how did you guys make this one pop? Or how did this one go? It's always the song that they didn't know. Like they were like, I don't know. Like it just resonated with people and the algorithms favored it. They really don't know most of the time. Now, I'm sure there are some coordinated efforts that, certain artists were like, yeah, this is how it happened. This is how we orchestrated it. Boom, boom, boom. But for the most part, when I've asked the question, they just like, I don't know. It just went, So I think that. Go ahead.
No, you see? No, I was saying, to be honest with you, just in my, and I'm not saying this from no place of hating. It's just like, to reach 50 million streams on a song on Spotify completely organically is impossible. So it has to have some sort.
Definitely not impossible. It's not impossible. I've been a part of.
I'm saying like you think that if you put a song out that it could reach 50 million streams without having any editorial playlist and any type of money on marketing towards the song, that's possible? You see that happen?
I used to run a label, and there are songs there are several that have 50 million streams plus, and I promise you there was nothing that we did specifically for those songs to go. It just resonated. It got into a lot of playlists of the users. A lot of the community put it in their playlist, but in terms of editorial playlists, it might have been on like some alternative hip hop playlists, stuff like that.
What genre was the song?
Hip hop. It was hip hop. I used to run a hip hop label.
Okay, you know what? I that changes the situation. Yeah, I think hip hop, like, sorry, let me rephrase. It's impossible for, in my opinion, for to be like a pop R&B act with that style of music for it to get, because I already know the type of playlists like that are there and the type of environment. And even when you create something like even Zodiac, like Zodiac was out of here, and people thought based on how much that song was out there on platforms that song was just going to have at least 10 million streams, but it doesn't even have 3 million, you know. And that song was everywhere. So it's one of those things where it's like, as an artist, like, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, this and that, it's just for a song like that to be that viral, and the max out that it came to before it hit a plateau was like 2.7 million. It's just like, I don't know, bro. 50 million is a lot of streams.
Do you feel like you missed some of the streams because the song wasn't out when the trend started popping? Like, how many more streams do you think it would have had if the song was available?
Was out
as soon as how long did it take you to put the song out after the trend started going?
After the trend started to pop off, the trend started like in October, and I put the song out like the first, like I think December 10th or something like that. So it was like 3 months. Well, it was like 2.5, 3 months that the trend was happening, and I was just like, but if you got to think about it, the trend didn't pop off just 70,000 videos. I put the video in October, then it will be like 4,000 videos made, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I always tell the story at my shows and any kind of interview, and so and then I'm like, okay, 2 weeks go by, it's 10,000 videos. Then another week go by and it's 20,000, and I'm looking at my brother and I'm like, and we like, yeah, but it's still like it's corny, you know. It's like we thought it was corny because we are musicians, we are real music heads, and I almost was like, I refuse to let this be such a big song, and I'm just like, I feel so like I'm doing a trick, like a goofball, just doing a trick for people, you know. I like literally, it got to the point where I literally had to be like let me just like I said, like in the other thing, let me get out my own way. You know, a lot of times because we take music so serious, we will prohibit ourselves from doing certain things because of that ego that you have from just the pride. I wouldn't say pride. It's more ego. No, I mean, it's not ego. It's more pride, because you're like, yo, man, I went to music school, man. Like, I'm like, what? I have so much more to say than this is my age, this is my sign, this is what, like, what? You know, and so until it got to about like 50, 60, then when how quick it moved to 70,000 videos, I was like, yo, we gotta put this joint out, you know. And so by the time we did that, it only helped make the song more popular, and we put the song out, you know. But the thing that killed the momentum is just that we there was a couple people interested, and we ended up doing bad business with this company that completely shattered the song. Like, we switched platforms and from DistroKid to InGrooves, and they didn't copy the metadata. So when someone go to click on the song in the peak of it being viral, you couldn't get the song for 2 weeks. You couldn't make a video to it for 2 weeks. And I went to them, and I'm to the label, and I'm like, hey, you guys need to fix this. And that was a traumatic experience for me, because at that time I'm like, this is my baby. This is what I worked my whole career for. And then the peak of it, for 2 weeks, they couldn't. And then instead of them making it one song, it was two songs. So one of them had like 20-some thousand videos, and then one of them had 2,700. And it's just like the whole, it's a mess, man. I don't even want to go back into that.
So I mean, I think with the song not being available right away and potentially this distribution error, like, it could have chopped off like millions of streams potentially, right? I mean, you'll never know exactly. But another point that you made, a lot of artists need to get out of their own way, right? Even a lot of artists felt like just being on TikTok was corny, and then they missed those years of it being easier to grow on TikTok, right? So a lot of artists, especially in the hip hop genre, think things are corny. Sometimes they just say they're corny because they're lazy and they don't want to do it, so they'll just call it corny.
I wouldn't even say that sometimes. I say that's most of the time.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you over here thinking things are corny, and these other artists are taking full advantage of the opportunity to grow, and you're just getting passed up. You're getting lapped, several times. So yeah, man, artists definitely got to get out of their own way. Man, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm sure we'll continue it. Can you just end with, like, if you had snap your fingers, boom, you can get this collaboration tomorrow. Who's the collaboration with?
Dang. Dang. That's crazy. I can't even lie to you. I don't think about that as much. Business wise, I think the best person to have on a song would be a Drake.
Okay.
Just because of culturally what the type of association. Once you have a song with Drake, it's almost like it's like a standard of you made it, and more people are gonna start to, you know what I'm saying? Because of that it's like a quick gratification if you do a song with Drake. But for me, just of admiration and stuff like that, I would want to do a song with like a Chris Brown,
Well, you wrote a song for him?
Yeah, I wrote 2 songs for him.
Okay.
And
did you actually get to meet him, or did you was it like a process of like sending the songs, or did you get to actually meet in person and vibe out?
Nah, I ain't get to meet him yet, and I will soon. It's my journey is a little bit different because I'm not just like a songwriter that an artist could just feel comfortable with. I'm a superstar. So if I'm a superstar and I'm writing songs, then someone sees me and it's not going to be an easy embrace. So I used to be like really upset about that, but it's like that's my reality. I'm not going to walk into a situation where I'm this timid kind of person that's someone that's like, oh, I could just, I'm like intimidating to a lot of people. And I'm not someone that just sat there and was like, oh, I guess I'm intimidating. I've had enough people in the industry came up to me and they're just like, yo, man, I know what you look like to these people, man. It's just like, keep doing your thing, this and that, But I don't think like Chris has no problem with me. I'm sure like when we meet in person, that it's gonna be cool, But yeah, I just hope that in the near future that I could have these type of collaborations,
Dope. And what was the song that you wrote?
I did a song called Dream on the Breezy album, and then on the one he just dropped in November, it's the last song on there. It's called Views on 11/11.
Dope. I'm gonna have to check those out. I don't think I've heard either one. Chris
okay.
put, like when he drops a project, it's like 30 songs. So it's like,
it's kind of bad that that's became his new kind of like where people are like, oh, I don't want to listen to it because it's be too many songs, this and that. I think that he should start posting and putting out like more condensed bodies of music, but that's not I don't have a call in that,
Right.
But,
Right. Well, cool, man. Well, continue doing what you're doing. I see a lot of success. I know in your near future, I know that it's already been a very long journey, but you made it this far. So, I'm rooting for you to continue to make some moves, and hopefully 2024 is a big one for you.
Man, it will be. And it will be for you too, man. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. This has been another episode of the Independent Living Podcast. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.